Write the chemical formula for nitrogen trihydride. Next, determine the shape of nitrogen trihydride by first, put the element with the least amount of subscripts in the center, which would be nitrogen. Second, surround the center element with the valence electrons that exist on that element. So go to the periodic table, nitrogen's in the fifth tall column, so place 5 valence electrons around nitrogen, 1 in each side before you pair it up with the fifth one is the rule. Next, imagine that nitrogen's inside its imaginary box, then place the 3 hydrogens on the 3 sides that need another electron around the nitrogen, which would be a hydrogen on the right side, on the bottom, and on the left side. Then go to the periodic table and identify the number of valence electrons hydrogen has, which is 1, since it's in the first tall column, and add your valence electron in between hydrogen going towards the nitrogen. Because this is a covalent molecule in which nitrogen and hydrogen are going to share valence electrons. So the next step is to draw a line that will share a pair of electrons between the hydrogen and the nitrogen, from that one to that one, then from this electron to that electron, and then on the bottom from this electron to that electron. That allows nitrogen to share electron from the hydrogens around it, so that nitrogen now has 2, 4, 6, 8 valence electrons around it. And then for each hydrogen to have a total of 2 electrons, because there's an electron at each end of the line drawn between the hydrogen's valence electron and the nitrogen's valence electron. That allows them to share that electron. So each line represents 2 electrons. Next, to identify the shape, we're going to use the chart at the top. And when using the chart at the top, we're going to ignore this row, and we're going to use the bonding pairs and the lone pairs of electrons that are found on the center element to identify these 2 numbers of bonding pair and a lone pair value. So when we look at nitrogen, and we identify what's there for nitrogen, we can look at the center element and see that it has 3 hydrogens attached around it. So that means there's 3 items bonded to the nitrogen as what we call bonding pairs. And then we look at what's called lone pairs, and that's talking about a set of electrons that's not bonded to something on the center element. And so that lone pair of electrons that exist is these 2 there on the top of nitrogen. So we're only looking for lone pairs that exist on the center element. So there is 1 lone pair of electrons on the nitrogen. So that's a 1 for that row. So now we want to match up this 3 to 1 set of values for the bonding pair and for the electron in these 2 rows. And we see this 3 to 1 existing right here. That means the name of this shape is trigonal pyramid, and it looks like this. Another way to see nitrogen trihydride written is to see that it's just N with a single bond going to each hydrogen, and then the lone pair of electrons above nitrogen. That will also allow you to see that there are 3 things bonded to nitrogen and 1 lone pair to identify this set of numbers, and that this is the column that you're using in identifying the 3 bonded items 2 nitrogen, the 1 lone pair on the center, and the shape is trigonal pyramid.